Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of All Out War. Sometimes we make mistakes, but we're gonna keep rolling with this one.
Fair enough.
On this episode of the podcast, we have a special guest, which we will introduce in just a second. But before we get to that, we wanted to just take care of some stuff. And Rosie, what's up, man? How are you doing?
Doing well, man. Thanks for asking.
I am struggling right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
you haven't had a Coke Zero yet.
You're right, I haven't, and I should have one. Give me 1 second.
Just killing airtime.
Nothing like a nice ice cold Coke Zero.
All right.
Not sponsored.
You're not yourself until you have a Coke Zero. All right. Now, shall we proceed?
We should. Rosie, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
It's gonna be an exciting podcast. I'm really excited about our guest.
It is.
He's an exciting guy. He's a intelligent man.
Yes.
I will give him that. And he's probably incredibly handsome. His voice sounds that way. Anyways. What do you know, man?
Oh, hey, I got two for you today.
Yeah?
Just cause. All right, so the first one, did you know that George Washington planned on burning down New York City?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he should have.
He should have.
Yeah.
Was it occupied by a bunch of redcoats or something?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. There was the Battle of Brooklyn. Yeah, they lost some of New York City back in during the Revolutionary War. So one of the plans was just to burn it all down.
Wow. Scorched earth policy.
He should have. So that
Right? I'm with you. I mean,
we would never had that.
I'm
just kidding.
We wouldn't have the Knicks.
I got some friends that live in New York.
Yeah.
So
It's still part of our constitutional United States, so
yeah,
I
but
like it, yeah.
might have saved us a lot of trouble down the road, George, if you hadn't done that.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah.
But
anyways,
he did chop down that tree.
Oh, yeah. So here's another story. So I got told by my dad, who listens to this podcast, that, and my mom does too, and my aunt, and some other people
My
do.
mom listens too.
All right. Well, yeah, my dad said that he enjoys the stories of, like, people from history. Like, oh, hey, did you know this happened person in history?
Yeah.
So there was this guy in London
All right.
in the 1600s, 1681. They called him Whipping Tom.
All right.
All right, so what this guy would do is he'd run around London and he would smack women on the butt.
What a perv.
He'd just run around, spank him, and run away.
He had a whip, though?
No, he just used
His bare hand?
He just walk up, yeah.
That's
Just,
assault.
they had a serial spanker running loose in the 1600s.
Oh, what a loser.
Yeah, and now they have acid attacks.
I know, right? Should have burned London down, too.
Should have burned London down, too.
George should have stopped at New York. He should have kept going across the
Should have
pond.
burned D.C. down, too, man.
The swamp. We're draining it.
Need to.
That's right.
Anyways,
Yeah.
so there you go. Whipping Tom.
Whipping Tom and
And old George.
and old Georgie.
So there you go. There's two for today.
Yeah. Those were good. I like those.
Nice, man.
Those are cool. I love Did You Know? It's my favorite segment.
Yeah.
We could probably just stop the podcast now. Oh, but wait. Hold on.
Oh, baby update. Here you go.
It's time for the baby update.
Okay, so we are now at 20 weeks for the BB.
20 weeks. Yeah.
Know what that means?
That means,
Gender reveal.
oh, gender reveal.
Oh, but not this week.
Oh, next week.
Fail. Next week.
Next week, gender reveal? Live.
On All Out War.
Yes.
You will hear next week what gender is of this imaginary baby that you cannot kill. Oh, we're gonna flip a coin. We've decided here we're gonna flip a coin to find out what the gender is gonna be.
Heads, it's a boy.
Yep.
Tails, it's also a boy.
It's a trick coin. No, we're gonna
No.
stick to the.
We'll be fair.
As a dad of two beautiful daughters, it's worth it having girls. Trust me.
So,
All right.
they've begun sucking their thumb now.
In utero.
Yes, in utero.
Excellent. Okay.
And that are those are the two new things that are going on. So, sucking thumb, you can find out what gender it is, and then also a lot more kicking. It has already begun kicking, but now it's very active.
Wow.
So, you begin feeling it wiggling about.
Is it more like a jiu-jitsu kick, or is it more like just a thumper, like I've got good music playing, I'm just kind of tapping my foot like doo-ka-doo-ka-doo-ka-doo-ka?
I suppose that depends on the personality.
All right. Yeah. Huh. All right.
So there's our update.
So there you go. Thank you so much, Megan, for that baby update.
Cool. Yeah.
We have a gender coming up, Rosie.
Gender coming up.
Yeah.
We'll reveal it live here so you can hear our reactions.
That'll be fun.
I think it'll be fun. Yeah.
I know what I want that baby to be.
Me too.
Yeah.
Alive.
Alive. Yeah. Yes. Just alive.
And maybe week 40 we'll find out what race it is.
Week 40?
I don't know.
Oh, how long are your pregnancies? 50 weeks. I've been pregnant for a year. Still don't know what that baby's going to be. Oh, man.
It just keeps getting bigger.
Bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Bigger and bigger.
Anyways.
All right. So you want to jump into this podcast with our special guest?
Yeah.
All right. So sit back, grab a coffee, and enjoy.
You're listening to the All Out War podcast.
Well, hello, Warriors. Welcome to another episode of All Out War. I am Turner, and I am in the studio with Rosie, and we have a special guest joining us today, all the way from BlazeTV. It's Nate Madden, the Capitol Hill Brief. You can catch him on all the social medias as well. Nate, how are you, man? Welcome to the podcast.
Doing all right. It's I'm kind of limping to the barn here, but I'm glad to be talking to you.
Oh, man. Well, we're thankful that you took the time to join us, and we really appreciate all that you're going to share with us as we record today. So
yeah, we were talking beforehand. I just put a 1-year-old to bed, so I'm trying to perk back up with some caffeine after that. But it's been an afternoon.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you survived that, putting that baby down. That can be crazy.
Oh man.
So how'd you get where you are right now with Blaze?
A little bit of tell us your story, Nate. I mean, obviously I know you, but the audience might not. How'd you get into being?
Well,
yeah.
I finished at the Citadel, not really knowing where I wanted to, end up. I had a degree in political science with a focus on international military policy, and another degree in German. And I had a fellowship at the John Jay Institute. So I realized somewhere along there that I actually wanted to be a reporter. So when I got back from my grad fellowship, I started I applied for every friggin'. I think I sent out, about 300 resumes in the process. Eventually got an answer back from the National Journalism Center. So the National Journalism Center placed me at Catholic News Service. So I cut my teeth in the religious press, and then I ended up doing for a short time writing religion stories for the Washington Times for a little bit, and then I started freelancing for Conservative Review, and this is back in the early days of CR. Mm-hmm. Then I left journalism for about 6 months, thinking that what I thought was I actually wanted to try NGO work and speech writing. So I did a brief stint of speech writing for an advocacy organization on the subject of international religious freedom. Loved who I was working for. Really passionate about the subject matter. Realized I don't have the attention span to do single issue advocacy.
Right.
I just don't have the attention span to focus on one single issue day in and day out. So I came back to journalism, which fully enables my scattershot focus throughout any given workday. So from there, I took a full-time job offer at Conservative Review right before the Iowa caucuses in 2016, and I've been off to the races ever since then. Since Levin TV happened and CRTV grew out of that, then CRTV merged. Now I'm the congressional correspondent at Blaze Media, and I guess that's the elevator speech on how I ended up doing what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah. So So we know you don't have a lot of time, so we'll just get right into it. I was going to say, so that we usually don't talk a lot of politics, like stuff that's currently going on, but it's a culmination of, and we were talking about this last night, you and I, was like, this is, so we're about impeachment. So maybe the reason we wanted to bring this up is because it's no longer just like a certain thing that's happening right now, because it's just a culmination of like so many different things that these crazy people are doing. And I don't know, a lot of people may not understand, because we were talking like the difference between starting an inquiry and all the differences. So could you lay out like what is going on with this impeachment stuff, and if there's any chance of like it even going anywhere? I don't even know. Maybe you can talk about just
okay. So what's happening right now, even though Speaker Pelosi calls it a formal impeachment inquiry or whatever, however she wants to dress it up, there's a difference between a preliminary impeachment investigation that the House does and a formal impeachment inquiry, which is authorized by a vote of the whole House. Regardless of what you call it and how you dress it up, this is the former. And that's ultimately what we've got going on. Mm-hmm. And you can look through it. I've written about it. You can look at my pieces at Conservative Review about this. I dive in. There's a really helpful congressional research report from earlier this year that breaks down the process of, if you actually want to start the formal impeachment process, as has been done before, what you need to do is authorize a formal inquiry with an authorizing resolution that's voted on by the whole House, that then instructs the House Judiciary Committee to begin the formal process. And really, getting past that, it's really procedurally weedy about what the differences are, but there is more deference that's granted to an investigation of a formal impeachment inquiry. They can get different things, they can subpoena different things, they can access different things. There's different processes and all that. But ultimately, the question is, from what we've got now, seeing is it's kind of like that episode of The Office where Michael Scott declares bankruptcy, but he doesn't actually declare bankruptcy. He just walks into the office and screams, "I declare bankruptcy." And that's pretty much what we saw this week. We saw the impeachment equivalent of that.
Right.
So whether or not the other two branches are going to play ball and grant the deference of a dressed up impeachment preliminary investigation that's been called a formal inquiry without an actual authorizing vote remains to be seen. There's absolutely no reason that the other two branches of the federal government should play ball short the actual process that we've all grown to know and understand that is the process. But I don't see the administration willing to play ball. But I mean, we all know that the judicial branch is at best on its best of days a complete crapshoot on that, whether or not it's going to make sense. At worst, absolutely insane. So we'll see.
So do you think? Yeah, that's a great breakdown of everything. Because I was going to say, that's one of the things, like the news we always hear about, like the media politicizing, like this is a huge deal, and like this means that obviously he did something, but really, like you just said, there's nothing. It's a big nothing burger. And, it's just beating their chest and not really saying anything.
Well, the thing that gets me is that I've been tracking this. I've been tracking the House Judiciary Committee on this issue for a few months now, and it was at some point over the summer. Nadler said, that we are in effect. It was right, maybe I think it might have been right before they left on August recess, but I've got to go back and check the dateline on the story I did. But Nadler said, in effect, we're doing an impeachment investigation, and that was news. That was news for a couple of days. They're like, oh, Nadler says they're doing it. And then he comes out later, and somebody else on the committee says, "Oh, we're doing an impeachment investigation." And then they actually vote on these new committee procedures, saying that they're trying to make it look more formal, again, without an authorizing thing. And then oh my gosh! And then somebody else, after they pass the rule changes on the Judiciary Committee, says, "Oh, we are doing an impeachment investigation." So Nancy Pelosi gets up after all this has gone on, and she says her piece. We still haven't had an authorizing vote. She still hasn't committed to putting the issue on the floor because she still wants to protect her freshmen. from she wants to be able to protect the freshmen and the endangered moderates from having to go on the record. Mm-hmm. This is all a gigantic dog and pony show, and it's absurd, but it's the exact kind of absurd that we've come to expect, and it would be weird if they actually treated this normally.
Right.
Let's face it.
Well, let me ask you.
They've been trying to impeach the man for whatever, they've been throwing everything they can get a hold of to try to impeach the guy for the last 2.5, 3 years. So everything that's happened is absolutely ridiculous, but not at all surprising.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like I remember hearing talks of impeachment like right after he was elected. Like literally the first conversations that I was hearing was, he's impeachable, he's done things wrong. Here's the question I have for you. If they're not going by the process that's been laid out by the law, and they're kind of just trying to do a dog and pony show, is there another angle that they're taking? Is this to discredit him during the election? Or is this something else at stake that they're hoping they'll find? Or like they can't be that, well, they could be, I guess, that stupid to think that it would actually go through.
Well, it doesn't matter if it does. So here's the thing the thing to remember. Maybe they actually will get us to the floor and vote and vote to impeach the president. Maybe they won't. What matters is the fact that this is where the ball is going to be, and this is where all the play is going to be in the House for the next few months as we get closer and closer and closer and closer to the 2020 election. And as we get closer and closer and closer to the 2020 actual general election, they're going to continue doing these probes, and they're going to continue pulling up every scrap of paper the guy has ever touched, looked at, or breathed on. Mm-hmm. In the hopes that they can find something that'll actually bring the momentum of their own caucus along with them so that they can actually vote on this thing. But even if they don't, it doesn't really matter because, I mean, it honestly works out better if they have the question hanging in the air. I mean, what did Republicans learn for, 4 election cycles after Obamacare is that you never really want to resolve the issue that you want to keep running on.
Right.
So it works out better for them if they can stretch this thing out and make it last all the way until next November.
I mean, I was going to say, is that kind of the same strategy that they use with this Mueller report? Because I know didn't it wrap up 6 months or so before the actual investigating ended up it wrapped up 6 months prior to him issuing, okay, we're finally done. Here's the report. And they used that to, they'd have someone leak, from the FBI or the DOJ, and they'd leak some little thing that they know that would stay in the news cycle and, get everyone riled up for a week or two. Oh, see, they are doing good work and all this stuff, and we need to keep paying them. And I mean, that's kind of what they're doing here. Is they're just this impeachment thing is now the new Mueller report in the sense of we just going to keep, like you said, hanging over the head. They're going to get some, people to leak information that they shouldn't be leaking. It's just to sow doubt. It's opposition research, and they're just doing this. I mean, is that what you would say? They're using taxpayers' money to just do oppo research, right?
And giving it the glitz of legitimate, actual national security and concerns by the fact that this comes from people who very obviously have political animus within the intelligence community and with the trappings and the sheen of the intelligence community. The people who don't know better think that, oh my gosh, this is actually national security concern. And so that's all. I mean, we know that the Steele dossier at this point was a complete joke. We didn't realize, people, not everybody in conservative land realized it was a complete joke 3 years ago. And so we went through this. And this is very much going to be the same, at least the same tactic. The difference here is there aren't that many Republicans who are buying this right now.
Right.
I think the only person who's really that vocal about it, at least in the Senate side where it actually matters, is Mitt Romney.
Right.
Ben Sass is kind of saying, well, they're overblowing it on the left. We shouldn't be so quick to circle the wagons on the right, which is a very sassy an answer. Richard Burr's being as tight-lipped as he usually is about this stuff. So I mean, we're not seeing the kind of reaction from a lot of Republican land that we saw to the concerns over the Steele dossier and the tactical leaks that came out of Spygate and everything else. I think it's going to be a lot less effective this time, but oddly enough, this is the one that they think they have the momentum to move on. So it makes no sense. But then again, if things made sense, I'd be out of a job. So.
Right.
I will tell you this, from a public perspective, I have noticed that these impeachment proceedings or talk, all of the talk, whatever you want to call it, has definitely emboldened a lot of my friends that are liberal, just from a social media perspective. They are much more vocal. They are convinced that he is going to be out of the office before the election, and this is all just going to be just their dream come true. So from a political partisan perspective, it definitely seems to be having an effect for that base, the liberal base.
Well, I was going to say this. I know the answer to this, but some people may not be. Oh, I was going to.
At the same time, coming from the right perspective, I remember Mitch McConnell going to CPAC and saying we were going to repeal Obamacare, root and branch. And that was like high-speed chicken feed in everybody's jugular. And this is, I hate to break it to the hardcore impeachment folks and the 2 or 3, like super hardcore lefties that are actually listening to me right now. But
right.
Everything that you're feeling about impeachment, we already went through on the right with Obamacare repeal.
Right. Yep.
Well, I was going to say, this was my next point that I was going to say. So I know the difference of this, but I know that a lot of people, that's because I studied political science in school. Can you lay down the difference? So say everything comes to roost, they vote, the House, votes on impeachment. It goes to the Senate. The Senate all of a sudden gets these, 30 Republicans, the unnamed ones that if it did come out, they would vote. Can you explain what impeachment actually is and what the difference between removal of someone in office and what impeachment is for everyone who may not be aware of just the even...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like indictment and conviction, right? So impeachment, you have to think, so the House in this case indicts and the Senate convicts. So the House impeaches and the Senate actually tries conviction and removes from office. And here's the thing: when this goes from the House to the Senate, you know who the 2 people in charge of the process are going to be?
No.
Mitch McConnell and John Roberts. They will be sending that. It is done. It's conducted by the Senate with the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court presiding. So the 2 people who are going to be in charge of it, should they send it across the way to the other side of the building, it's going to be Mitch McConnell and John Roberts. There will be no one removed from office, even if the House does successfully vote for partisan impeachment at some point before the 2020 election. But yeah, regardless of whether or not he's impeached, I will eat a baseball cap on this program, and I'll actually drive out to where you are, Rosie, and to verify this, so you guys can verify it. Like, it's some really hardcore old school Howard Stern stuff. I will eat a hat on this program if Donald Trump is actually removed from office by the Senate before 2020.
Done.
Sounds good.
we could film. Then we'll film it as well. Yeah. So get on 2 shows. Yeah. All right.
It'll have to be a DNC hat, though.
A MAGA hat.
Or a MAGA hat.
Whatever it is, it's going to have hot sauce on it.
Yeah.
Hot sauce. We'll get you sriracha. You'll be good to go, man.
So next question I wanted to talk to you about gun control. What is, because I've been keeping up to date with quite a bit of stuff. Like, I don't know if you're aware of this, but like New York and all these other states have been quietly doing this stuff. I saw this. New York, I think they passed a bill a while ago that they were banning body armor of any kind, so you couldn't buy like a bulletproof vest if you're a civilian. And I saw one that they were they just passed something to do with the quote unquote ghost guns, so you couldn't buy 80% lowers, which for anyone that doesn't know, I'll just say it real quick. Think of an AR-15. The part where the the trigger, for lack of a better term, where the trigger is the bottom part, where the magazine goes in, the trigger is, that's called the lower. That's the thing that has a serial number, and that part is the only one that has to be registered. You can buy barrels and switch it in and out. So you can, an 80% lower is it's sold as a block of metal that is 80% complete. So there's no serial number, and then someone would buy that. They can mail it to your house. There's no serial number. It's quote unquote untraceable. You drill out a couple things, and now you have a working lower receiver.
A working fully, semi-fully automatic.
Semi-fully automatic, weighs 10 pounds. Yeah. So I was going to say, that was one of the ways that people were, I know, in New York or more restrictive states could buy guns and not have the government know about. But what is going on with gun control in general? Those are two more specific things. I'm not sure if you're aware of those, but what is like going on right now? Because everything's just crazy.
So I had to look up this. So I'm not seeing anything on a ban in New York. I'm seeing that Chuck Schumer wants to regulate the sales of body armor, which is not surprising whatsoever, because if his support for the background check law shows anything, he's not actually in favor of anything that's going to help anyone either cut down on mass murder events or survive one. So.
Right.
But let me see about this ghost gun ban right quick. Again, this is just an area where I've accepted that nothing is going to make sense. Right. Nothing has to make sense. Nothing is going to make sense. So,
well, I was going to say, just in a very general sense, without even going into those two specific things, I just picked those because I didn't see anybody talking about them. But like when Beto goes up, what is the like when he says something like that? Is there any? I don't know. I want to.
So,
like, or even the other candidate? Because I'm asking you because I know that we are both very we're firearm enthusiasts, so we keep up to date with this stuff. So maybe if you could lay it down for some people that may not be aware of other candidates' positions. We hear about Beto and all this stuff, but what is the climate in the on the Hill in regards to the gun bans and stuff?
So there's nobody on Capitol Hill who actually wants to pass gun control that will come out and say anything as extreme as what Beto O'Rourke said. Mm-hmm. There's nobody, and here's the thing: that wasn't even the first time that he said something like that. That was just the most aggressive way he said it in the most public way. He was before, so he already had his gun confiscation plan out, and I think Biden also. Booker has a confiscation plan. Biden has a confiscation plan. Everybody on the campaign trail has some sort of confiscation plan almost. I'm not aware of anybody who's trying to play as a moderate right now on the gun issue and on the Democratic side. At least nobody who's got my attention. Nobody on Capitol Hill who actually wants to try to pass this stuff is dumb enough to get behind that, because they realize what you have to do is you have to find Republicans from places you have to find Republicans who can safely get behind gun control without losing their seats. And even that's kind of tenuous. And get them to agree and sign off on this stuff and co-sponsor and vote for it, which is a difficult enough task to begin with. Mm-hmm. Just because people in this country, guns are in our political DNA. People in this country want to be able to defend themselves against home invaders and rapists and muggers and all enemies, foreign and domestic. That's just reality. Yep. And if you're trying to run against that, if you're trying to actually pass legislation against that, you have to find and target these Republicans who are they're in the safe seats where they're afraid that they're going to get replaced by a gun control candidate, or in their place where people like New York and New Jersey Republicans, where everybody in your district is already used to all kinds of obscene, ridiculous, draconian gun control. You have to cherry pick these guys and figure out how you're going to do it there. But the problem is when you have somebody like a Beto O'Rourke get up and say, hell yeah, we're going to take your AR-15, that scares the crap out of absolutely everybody who might have been in your coalition there. Which is exactly what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, right? So we saw the White House legislative director and the Attorney General get up and they tried to float the legislative package with an idea sheet that got leaked. Something similar to the Manchin-Toomey bill, which is not the Democrat background check bill where it's So the Democrat background check bills, you can't loan a hunting rifle to somebody else without going to an FFL first and getting the background check done. Whereas the Manchin Toomey thing only covers if you're planning to sell at a gun show or so it's commercially advertised private sales basically. So if you're trying to sell online or if you're trying to sell private to private at a gun shop at a gun show, that's where it expands those and it leaves all the other private transactions out, or at least it's supposed to. Blah 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 blah. So there's different varying degrees of this stuff. But so the White House plan, as part of that, would have been consistent with that. It got a frosty reception according to reports, and then Trump basically got up and said, that blew the whole thing up. There's no prospect for passing gun control now, and there's not. Because when you get up and you say something that brash and you actually take the mask off and show people, no, this is the actual end game here. Brazen gun confiscation, the outright violation of the Second Amendment. That's really what the end game is here, which is what firearms enthusiasts and Second Amendment supporters, who spend a lot of time on this stuff. That's what we realize. But he inadvertently woke up a lot of people who were otherwise not paying attention to this, and he blew the issue up. Mm-hmm. And so now Congress has left town for 2 weeks. The entire feeling on this on the Hill was September or bust to begin with. And, you're going to have your folks like your Eric Swalwells and your Chris Murphys who are going to keep trying to push this thing and keep trying to push this dead horse carcass with the cart behind it and try to get it over the finish line. It's not going to happen now because of that Hell Yes statement.
So that was actually, I know like the NRA tweeted out and they said something like the great, thanks for the greatest, the greatest firearm salesman of the month or whatever like that. And they had a picture of him.
Yeah. AR-15 salesman of the month.
Yeah. So so by him saying something like that, it is good for us. We should feel more confident now that they actually did reveal themselves. Yeah. And, they keep doing this all the time, like with
when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Just believe them. Do them a favor and take them at face value when they say something like that.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to. But so not only is Beto O'Rourke the AR-15 salesman of the month, he's also shot any prospect of Congress actually passing new gun control all to hell for at least the foreseeable future.
Right. So we should be thanking him for being so absolutely insane.
What was it? Napoleon Bonaparte said, never interrupt your enemy when they're making a mistake.
Right. Yeah.
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 So I was going to say this, maybe on excuse me. I know because of work, you actually have to watch, I'm assuming, the Democrat debates that have happened, the three of them.
There have been 3 so far.
Yeah, I was going to say I haven't watched any of them because I refuse to because I don't have to. I was going to say, what as far as maybe projections, can you break it down for, I don't know how many other people didn't watch it, but who do you see as, I don't know, maybe, I don't want to say like you're putting your hat, like this is who I think is going to, get the nomination or anything, but what are we, what's going on? Because there's so many different people. There's so many things that people may not know. Can you break down maybe you think who has a good shot, who doesn't? Play a little maybe quick betting, if you will, like calling horses and stuff.
So as it stands right now, barring anything that really upsets the field and everybody's momentum, this is really a fight. That's really heading towards a 3-way fight between Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie Sanders. The only question is how long everybody else hangs on. And maybe a dark horse, will be able to come out of the pack. Maybe Mayor Pete will be able to, to gallop his way up to the front of this horse race. I just don't see it happening.
Hey, can I stop you right there? I have one question since you brought up Mayor Pete.
Why are you gay?
I don't know.
Did you have that ready?
Yes, we did. We were getting it ready. That's why I said, hang on a second beforehand. Play it again.
Why are you gay?
So that was, the listeners, we're going to leave all that laughing in because that was awesome. And but we just had to drop in the that for you, and so I know you'll appreciate that. But I'm sorry. So go back to. I hate to bring you back to that, but.
So here, this is one thing that I just keep hammering on to everybody is that we live in the age of gibberish. None of this has to make sense, and none of the predictions even really have to matter at this point because everything is just, there are no paradigms anymore. Everything's out the window. Mm-hmm. This is ultimately the three people at the top of the heap right now are Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, and Bernie Sanders. I honestly, until we actually start getting in closer to it, some of the other candidates start dropping off of this thing, I cannot predict who's going to actually pull out of this thing.
Right.
I ultimately think, just on a gut feeling, this is gonna come down to Joe Biden versus Elizabeth Warren, and I honestly can't figure out who wins that fight and who's actually a bigger challenge for the president. I see, Joe Biden's in a lot of trouble at this point. Mm-hmm. He was already under a lot of fire for, they were not under fire for it. There's already a lot of concern about the fact that he's a very old presidential candidate. He seems to have less of a grip on reality and what he's saying with each passing day. And then, of course, you dump this whole Ukraine thing on there. Mm-hmm. And right now, everybody wants to keep the focus on Donald Trump. But do you honestly believe that if it comes down to a race between Joe Biden and Elizabeth Warren, that Elizabeth Warren's team is not going to go in hammer and tongs, especially since anti-corruption, new ethics stuff is one of her main planks. Mm-hmm. They're not going to go in hammer and tongs against just Hunter Biden's deals in the Ukraine and Hunter Biden's deals in China and everything else, and Joe Biden's actions with the Burisma case. Now, she's got all the ammo that she needs to knock him off when it comes to a head-to-head race.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I just don't see her doing that well in a general.
Right. Yeah, I mean, would she, the only thing that she has, going for her, it would be, I'm a less corrupt Hillary Clinton. So if all is that really what she's going for? Is I'm not Hillary Clinton, but I'm a white woman that can, is going to stand up to Trump or something like that? Is that, I don't see anything else that's...
I know. There's nothing there.
I mean, I'm sorry, she's not white, she's Native American. But...
She is Native American.
So she's got that to run from, she's got her, so I'm, actually, no, so I'm, middle-aged white lady who's outwardly more liberal than Hillary Clinton. Let's face it, let's look at her Wall Street plan. Let's look at her actual, the draconian things inside of her ethics plan. Let's look at the fact that she supports, outright socialist healthcare. I mean, the entire Democratic field supports socialist healthcare at this point, but kind of keep in there. I just don't know if a more liberal Hillary Clinton is going to actually motivate people to get out to get out and vote. I just don't see it happening.
Dude, you just need to sit down and have a beer with her. That's all you need.
A really awkward beer in her kitchen.
Right, yeah.
And then she'd thank you for stopping by. Thank you for coming to
everyone to have a really awkward beer with Liz Warren. Actually, that's, that might be... if they just owned it at this point, I'd have a lot more respect. I'd love to see the ads. Have an awkward beer with Elizabeth Warren.
That's right.
At least you acknowledge it. You can be real at that point. But anyway.
Well, she needs to invite the chief of the Cherokee Nation and just do
a peace pipe,
have a beer
in a wigwam, or
have a beer with him and bury the hatchet, so to speak.
Or maybe actually physically bury a hatchet. We don't know.
Yeah,
right.
That's right.
That's what her relatives most likely were doing back then.
Oh my gosh!
I'm just being honest. But hey, so I was going to ask this while we're talking about this, because this. We were talking about this again, off air. What is up with conservatives and Tulsi Gabbard? What is up? I don't understand it. Other than she's hot, and I'll admit that she's hot.
Yeah.
So the ones that I've seen, it's more the libertarians that I've noticed that are fascinated with Tulsi Gabbard, simply because she has a non-interventionist foreign policy bent, and I think that for me that's basically the extent of what I can tell has been the appeal there, because you look at literally everything else the woman believes in. It's not conservative or libertarian,
right?
And she got some street cred because she got attacked for some prior She got attacked for prior positions on, on some social conservative issues, or at least her dad's positions. I can't even remember exactly what it is at this point. It's been, I feel like I'm aging in dog years.
Right.
But and she also has, so she's also taken a stance against third trimester abortion. She's taken stances against cancel culture and for free speech, which is enough to generate, like if you do that as somebody on the left, you will generate miles and years of infatuation on the right, because I don't know what the hell is wrong with us, but we do that. We fawn over these people. Let's face it, like these are not, like, we would roast, we would roast people on the right for having the same policy positions, but because she's a registered Democrat coming from the left on this thing, everybody gets so gosh dang starry-eyed.
Well, I can say that she doesn't sound nearly as loony as Bernie or as Biden or as Warren. I mean, she sounds much. She doesn't. Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons they were keeping her off of the platform for the debates, because they know. I think they know she'll get traction.
So I don't know if she'll get traction or not. I think that those are the things that are ultimately gonna hurt her in this rush to the left that this primary has been. Mm-hmm. But one thing that's really struck me, I was saying this to Rosie last night. We were playing poker. Was when we were driving, my family were driving to Florida for vacation during the August recess. One thing I noticed as we're passing through the Columbia, South Carolina area is just how many billboards the Gabbard campaign has bought around Fort Jackson. And I have to assume that they've done the same thing probably around Shaw Air Force Base and probably around Parris Island in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. I just don't know, maybe that's going to be her point where they realize, like, okay, we couldn't win South Carolina even with a massive military population. Maybe that's going to be her exit. But I just don't see her holding on. That's the longest I think she's going to hold on to this thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, there is just, the libertarians are kind of excited about her, because I think a lot of libertarians at heart are still very liberal.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say, like, what you said about, we saw, let's be honest, with the 2016 election, Trump, he had all these, I heard it, the best thing was displaced lefties that were like, they were left of center. I would say some of them are pretty liberal. And then all of a sudden, like what you said, the rush to the left, all of a sudden the candidates are like openly socialist. And so you have all these people that are literally anywhere to the, one step over all the bodies, of Mao Zedong that he left in his wake. Anyone to the right of Mao is now seen as like on our side. So we get these people, where she's like, hey, we shouldn't kill babies in the third trimester, but we should still be able to kill babies up until then. And these conservatives are like, yeah, she's pro-life, It's so crazy to see. And, I don't understand that.
Well, I think Trump, if you remember Trump before he was president, he was a liberal.
Yeah.
That's what blows me away about all these people that are like, he's the best conservative president we ever had. Well, go back and remember him from I'm old enough to remember him in the 80s and who he aligned himself with, who he said he would vote for, And I think what happened was he just went just to the left a little bit of center, just a little bit. And then that forced everyone else against him to go that much further away. So they couldn't be seen to be close like him at all, because he was so polarizing for them.
Well, he's obviously, and I'll say, like, Nate, since I know where you stand on, I would say we're both pretty traditional conservatives and most aspects.
I'm here too. I'm a traditional conservative.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm trying to bring Nate back in the conversation. Yeah. But I was going to say, the whole thing about Trump was that a lot of people, and I don't know where you were, Nate, and you don't have to say whether, whatever. Trump, it seemed like during his campaign, conservative people were telling him, like, say this, because this is what conservatives believe, but you don't understand anything of, like, how to implement that.
Right.
Like, we don't like forever wars and going to die for other countries. So just say this, and then don't worry about how you actually implement that or anything like that. So, but
you're not actually going to implement it, because
Yeah, he doesn't know how to, and he keeps firing everyone. But he has been. I was going to say the thing about Trump, which I doubt Tulsi Gabbard would do, or even Joe Biden, who seems at the beginning of the race, he seemed like he was the most moderate.
Yeah.
Out of the big names, is Trump eventually started doing conservative things. So that's why we say he's a conservative, or at least he does conservative things now. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see anyone else doing that, and I don't see Tulsi doing that. But anyways, Nate, I know you had to run, so I will. Do you have anything else you wanted to say or talk about, or?
Yeah, I gotta head out, but if you want to keep up with my Capitol Hill coverage minute by minute, follow me at Nate on the Hill. Otherwise, look for me on BlazeTV, The Blaze, and Conservative Review.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, and Nate sends out a. We'll put a link because you send out, which I subscribe to, an email list that sends out all the reports of the day and stuff like that. Because
awesome.
I know we didn't get to talk about all this other stuff, but obviously you're on the Hill every day and you work, keep up with this stuff. There's so much more stuff that happens on the Hill, that bills that get passed all the time that nobody really knows about. So, yeah, follow Nate if you want to keep up to date with stuff that actually might impact you.
Matter,
yeah.
Right? Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much, dude.
Thank you, Nate. We appreciate it, buddy. God bless you, man.
You too.
Well, there you go. That's our buddy Nate on the Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
Capitol Hill correspondent for BlazeTV.
Blaze Media.
All
that.
Yeah.
All the above.
Dude, I wish we could have had him on for a little bit longer.
Yeah, he's got a new baby.
Got the fams, got to take care of his family, but we get that. That's cool. When we were talking about the impeachment at the very beginning, when we were talking to him there, it just made me think of, you said it's a big nothing burger.
Yeah.
And I just was thinking about how much I hate that phrase.
Yeah.
And I mean, Rosie, seriously.
Why are you gay?
Man, it was the way I was born. No one would choose this.
No one would choose this. Maybe it's because you're
smoking that sticky green stuff.
That is true.
Or not. Maybe.
We're just trying to jam in all that. We had to get that one in at the end.
Yeah. Every episode.
We have to get it in every episode.
Then we'll find a new one in 2020.
Yeah.
So that'll be good.
But we're also going to use that one in 2020.
Eventually.
But we did implement a new one.
We did.
Which is...
Why are you gay?
Which is so funny. I think that is the funniest thing ever.
We should probably let people know there is an actual YouTube. That's from an actual interview where somebody was interviewing a homosexual. And he literally, the first question he asked him was that.
Yeah, like it starts off and he's like, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Anyways. I'm not going to do it, but the accent, because I will get in trouble.
Oh, right.
Probably. But yeah, so he's interviewing this gay person. And he's like, we are here with so-and-so, so-and-so, so-and-so. And he just turns and, why are you gay?
Oh, man.
It's a great interview if you don't get offended. It's very funny.
It is. Dude, Nate's awesome too, man. I hope we can get him back on again. Maybe closer to the election in 2020 or something like that. And I enjoyed watching his coverage of the midterm.
He did do this, yeah.
It was like a live feed it was him and Michelle Malkin. And I watched that on the Blaze because I have a Blaze account, which our listeners should go and support Blaze. You
don't have to.
Don't. We're not sponsored by them.
We're not sponsored by them, so you don't have to do that.
I'm sorry,
but
it's a bad habit of mine to just support people I like.
You can support them if you like.
Yeah.
Our past, like John Miller has a show.
He does.
Nate has a show. Wow. It's not as regular. It's not daily, but
right.
Yeah, he does do.
They got some great people over
there.
He
writes a lot. They do.
Yeah. Dude. So it was a good one.
Yeah.
It was a good one. Well, we hope you learned something today, Warriors. You need to know your political
systems. You need to learn some of the stuff about it.
Right. There's a lot more than just the Schoolhouse Rock versions that you might have heard. So,
although those are probably, I bet if we rewatch those, they're probably really good.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure they're really good.
Yeah, I mean, I learned how to eat well. I hanker for a hunka, a slice of sliver chunka. I hanker for a slice of cheese. Do. That's what I remember.
Oh, I grew up overseas, so we didn't. I grew up with different.
Right.
We're not learning about how the American government worked. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, right. I'm just a bill.
I do remember that, but
Remember that old bill? He'd walk around. People were mad at him and stuff. Calm down.
Yeah, back when the American public education system actually tried to teach people how the systems and government that we have, which is not a democracy,
right,
is a constitutional republic, how our republic actually functions.
Right. So that's why we have the electoral college, because that's part of that whole republic,
Yeah, not being a democracy. Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Right. Which the idiot socialist Democrats want to get rid of because they keep losing because they're idiot Democrat socialists that nobody believes in, because America, they like their freedom.
Yes.
Anyways,
yeah, we hope that Nate is super knowledgeable.
Yeah.
And he knows a ton of stuff. So
good guy.
Go follow him. He's always keeping up. Like I look through his feed and I'm like, oh my God, they're getting away with this, or they're doing this, or, it's a reminder that there's a lot of stuff that happens daily.
Yeah.
In the government.
I know.
That will affect you.
Yeah.
That no one cares about because it's not.
MSM won't cover it. They won't touch it. They won't talk about it.
Yeah, because it's not sexy.
Right.
It doesn't have to do with Trump, but
yeah, and it's not going to cover up their pedo things that they're trying to. Yeah. When we were talking about gun control, I wish I would have asked them about Dan Crenshaw.
Yeah,
because you have some interesting thoughts on that guy, and I was kind of infatuated with him, and then I saw him supporting those red flag bill, and I was
red flag law, whatever.
Really disappointed, and he got called out on that. And he tried to explain it away, but I still think there's some good in that guy.
Yeah,
I like him, but I should have asked him about him. Anyways, next time. And until next time.
Oh yeah, okay.
Warriors.
All right, man. Yeah,
it's been a great episode.
It has been a great episode.
We will catch you next time on All Out War.
Stay hydrated and don't forget to drink your water.
That's right.
Thanks for listening to the All Out War podcast today. We hope you enjoyed the episode. If you want to know more, you can visit us on the web at alloutwar.us, or you can find us on Twitter at alloutwarcast. Hey, thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next time.